Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. And it feels like it's getting crazier all the time. I just put my banner on. I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for being members, for sending Ko-fis, people that buy Ko-fis, or send super stickers, PayPal me, send me nice emails, leave nice messages. Thank you so much. So, okay. Now, I feel like I'm uncovering a bit of a Pandora's box here with this Peter Faulding issue. And I have to say something about these things that I'm discovering. Look, it turns out that it was not Peter, although he claimed to have found Peter Tobin's dagger in the house. But he said he did. Now, just as I was researching something completely different, came up another story that I didn't. And now, I know a little bit about true crime. I've been following true crime for a long, long time before he ever started doing videos about it. And I know about cases, and when I come up against claims that have been made about sort of high profile cases. They are cases that I remember. And here is another case then that came up in a newspaper article that I was reading through that I found just literally by accident. And let's talk about the actual case itself first. Now, some of you may know about the case of this poor lady, Katie Prout. And Katie was murdered by her husband, Graham. And we're going to look at the background of this case because he, of course, initially, he denied murdering Katie. We'll take his picture off, put Katie's up there. He denied murdering Katie, but eventually confessed to murdering her. And he took the police to where he had buried her body, and the police discovered her remains. Now, as I say, as I was looking for something completely different, an article came up and I thought, oh, that looks interesting. Let's have a look at that. And we're going to read that article. And in this article, Peter Faulding claims to have found Katie Prout's remains with a metal detector because she was still wearing her wristwatch. Now, I cannot find those claims substantiated anywhere else. In fact, in every other article, and also with, I've asked some of the contacts that I've got that seem to know a bit about, various police investigations, etc. This is not necessarily true, or is it? Now, what I'm going to present to you here today, I'm not saying that Peter was lying. I'm saying, why is Peter saying that, but it's not substantiated in any other article? So I would like to know who did find Katie Prout's remains, and was it with a metal detector because of her wristwatch that she was wearing? Maybe it was. Maybe if you can show to me with evidence that is what happened. I mean, when I say evidence, I mean, actually backed up by newspaper articles or police things that are official, then yeah. So let me just give you the background of this story, this very sad story of what happened to this lady. And I've got so we're going to look, first of all, at just a timeline of Katie Prout's murder. So if you don't know about it, I already knew about it. I remember this case well. As I say, I've been looking at true crime for a long, long time, and I remember this specifically. Of course, at the time, I wasn't really aware of Peter Faulding. I've only become aware of Peter Faulding. I mean, I remember him being in the background, a diver or various cases that I've looked at, but I didn't really register, Peter Faulding who he was, or was he telling the truth? I would not. And when the only time I really registered Peter Faulding was in the Nicola Bulley case, and then, you know, trusted everything he said. I just thought he was an actual part of the police. So going back now and looking at these things, this poor woman, Katie, who found her remains? Now, it's good that her remains were found, but of course, don't forget that the husband did take the police to where the remains were, so they weren't found by accident. You know, the husband, in the end, he broke down, he confessed, he said where she was, and the police went to look for her, or according to Peter, he went to look for her. So let's just look at the background first of all. So this is the timeline of poor Katie Prout. So in the year 2000, Adrian and Kate meet and marry the same year. In 2004, they buy Red Hill Farm in Redmarley, Gloucestershire. 2006, there are signs of problems in the relationship, according to Mrs. Prout's diary, and she alleges her husband threw her against their car following an argument. So, by the way, this is the BBC website. Oh, gosh, I've lost it now. Hang on, there it is. So then, on the 11th of February 2007, Kate accuses her husband of threatening to kill her and holding her over their drained swimming pool. So she temporarily moves out of the farm. This is their farm here. 2 months later, the couple attempts a reconciliation and Mrs. Prout returns to the farm. Poor Kate. I mean, that was a mistake, wasn't it? But, you know, we've all been there. You listen to what people say, you accept their apologies. In September, Mrs. Prout holidays in Salisbury in Wiltshire, while house sitter Diane Bellamy looks after Red Hill Farm. On the 12th of October, Mrs. Prout goes on holiday to Italy with Linda Wakefield, her sister-in-law, and Miss Bellamy looks after Red Hill Farm. And Mrs. Prout becomes concerned that her husband is having an affair with this house sitter, Diane Bellamy. On the 2nd of November, she meets accountants in Cirencester, Gloucestershire, to discuss her divorce settlement. On the 4th of November, she demands an increased divorce settlement of £800,000, and Prout had previously offered her £600,000. There's always an issue with money, isn't it? Sometimes it's good when you've not got any money, because you don't, you don't get these issues, these problems. Money it's always money, isn't it? It's money or love, or a combination of the two. Are normally reasons for murder, if they're not like just psychopathic murders like serial killers, etc. The main reasons are normally about money or love, or lack of it. On the 5th of November, Mrs. Prout is seen for the last time at her home in Redmarley, and she was last heard from at 15:29 GMT when she called her bank. On the 10th of November, Prout reports his wife missing to the police, and searches begin at Red Hill Farm. So here he is, the absolute twonk. On the 27th of November, he is arrested on suspicion of murder, and officers say they're searching 200 acres of land around her home. At that time, they said there was no direct evidence she had come to harm, and she may still be safe. On the 28th of November, he is released without charge. On the 19th of December, the search of the farm at Redmarley and surrounding area concludes. So nothing is found. Then, for some reason, by the time it comes to the 4th of January 2008, police say they believe Mrs. Prout has been murdered. And on the 19th of February, Prout is arrested for a second time on suspicion of his wife's murder. Then on the 28th of February 2009, another year on, police confirm that he is no longer suspected of murdering his wife. On the 10th of March, then he's arrested and charged with murder and appears at Cheltenham Magistrates Court. So obviously there's a lot of things going on in the background here. And then on the 7th of January 2010, his new fiancée, Debbie Garlick, announces on Facebook she has given birth to their first child. Well, God, he didn't hang around, did he? Anyway, so on the 12th of January, here he is. He goes on trial at Bristol Crown Court. And the 3-week trial heard about friction between the couple before the divorce proceedings began. And it was also told that her body may never be found. And then on the 5th of February, despite the fact there is no body, Adrian Prout is found guilty of murdering his wife. An acting Detective Superintendent Neil Kelly, who led the case, says Mrs. Prout's body might never be found unless her husband admits where she is. Mrs. Prout's brother, Richard Wakefield, said the family would like to find out where her body is so they can bury her. On the 8th of February, Prout is jailed for life. You think it sounds great, doesn't it? Jail for life, brilliant. Ordered to serve a minimum of 18 years. Come on, 18 years for a life. 13th of May, the police call off the search for the body of Mrs. Prout. Then, on the 17th of November 2011, officers who investigated Mrs. Prout's murder say they have received significant new information. And on the 18th of November, they reveal that he has now finally confessed to killing Kate and agreed to reveal where he buried her body. He is seen at the farm handcuffed to an officer as the search begins. And then on the 24th of November, officers find, see, no mention of Peter Faulding here or in most of the other articles we're going to look at. But, you know, maybe it was Peter. He claims he did. You'll see that in the article we're going to look at next. Officers find human remains at Red Hill Farm after almost 4 days of searching. So it just goes to show how difficult it is to find a body, even when the bloody perpetrator's pointing out to you where it is. It still took them 4 days to find Kate's remains, bless her. 25th of November, these human remains were formally identified as belonging to Kate Prout. So finally, we knew that it was the correct decision. It was the right verdict. I don't know what made him decide to reveal where the body was. Maybe because, you know, he was thinking he would never get out if, because, you know, it's been nearly 15 years now. Or has it even been more than 15 years? Maybe he was thinking, God, don't tell me he's out already. So he had to, maybe he was thinking, well, look, he's got a minimum sentence of 15 years. Maybe he was thinking he wouldn't be allowed out on bail if, you know, he didn't reveal where a body was. So let's see, what year was he actually found guilty? 2010. So in 2010, he was, 18 years. He was jailed for life and ordered to serve a minimum of 18 years. So he'll be coming up for parole in 4 years. Or less than 4 years now. So maybe that's why he had a change of heart. I mean, I'm glad he ended up confessing and saying where the body was. Maybe when all his appeals ran out and he realised that the only way he's going to come out is with parole. And the only way he's going to get parole is by confessing and saying where a body is. But I don't know that. So that's the timeline of this horrible crime. Which has led to, you know, Peter's claims. So let's have a look at this article where Peter does claim that he found Kate Prout's body. Did he? Now, this is a very interesting article as well as far as the Nicola Bulley case is concerned. I don't remember seeing this article before. There's a video on here that I don't remember seeing before. And this is an article in the Daily Mail. What's the date of it? This was November the 26th. It can't be from November the 26th. That's today. This, I don't know when this article was from. There you go. It was published on the 10th of February 2023. So that's important, because listen to what Peter's saying. And of course, you know, he's supposed to have found Nicola, wasn't he, by then? So just listen to what he's saying. This is all I would say to people, you know, people who still sort of just cannot accept. It's like they just cannot accept that Peter has said things that aren't true, or may have said things that aren't true. Just listen to what he's saying. You know, if somebody wants to come on here and say to me, oh no, he did find Kate Prout, or he did find Peter Tobin's knife. You know, each lie, or possible lie, let's say, with each possible untruth that comes up, and these claims that he makes, the more you look into them with a bit of scrutiny, they don't stand up. So, of course, once someone you know, we all tell lies from time to time. Don't think there's any of us who've never told a lie for whatever reason. Sometimes they're white lies. You know, we try to save people's feelings or things like that. But, you know, once lies start backing up, and these are big lies, if they are lies, you know, I think it's wrong to claim credit for something, you know, claim credit for finding Peter Tobin's knife when actually you didn't. You know, whoever, because somebody's telling lies there. Like Peter's saying he found it, the detective was saying he found it. You can't both have found it. Only one person found the knife. So, you know, who actually found it? So one of them is being, you know, remiss with the truth, let's say. Same with this. Is it true or not? Anyway, he starts off talking about Nicola Bulley. If she was there, I would have found her. I don't know, I've got Scooter. These adverts come up are weird. If she was there, I would have found her. As the search for Nicola Bulley continues, dive expert, we know he's an expert in many, many things, Peter Faulding confronts his critics and says it's near impossible that the mother of two is at sea in a tell-all interview with Catherine Knight. Peter Faulding disputes that Nicola Bulley fell into a river while on a dog walk. Now, please, anyone who's, you know, read the article. This is what he says to this reporter. This is not me making it up. This is not the reporter making it up. This is Peter Faulding saying what he's saying to a reporter. He disputes that Nicola Bulley fell into the river while on a dog walk. The search and rescue expert has become a target for spouting his theories. I wonder what the comments are like. Sorry, I haven't looked at the comments. So some people agreeing with, Anonymous, I agree with Faulding, he's done a great job. Yeah, that's probably him. A little mixture of support for Peter, respect for this man, all these experts, but she's still missing. Let the real experts get on with their job. He has his theory and the police have a different theory. Nobody has any evidence, only theories. And then other people, you know, supporting the family, etc. Yeah, interesting, the comments. But anyway, they've stopped accepting comments. Right, how do I get back to what I was looking at now? And I can't get back to the bloody article. Yeah. So, Peter Faulding has amassed a number of impressive qualifications in the course of his life, but he has one particular talent for which there is no formal certificate. Wonder what that is. I have this natural ability to find things, is how he puts it. And if she was there, I would have found her. And remember, this is Peter's own words, not my words. She, of course, is Nicola Bulley, the 45-year-old mother of two, whose baffling disappearance 2 weeks ago has become one of the highest profile missing person cases of recent years. There is the river into which Lancashire police think she fell while on a dog walk with her Springer Spaniel, Willow. Faulding, a genial 60-year-old with a lifetime search and rescue expertise, has made it clear he disagrees with this assessment. And his dissent has put him at the epicenter of this most puzzling of cases, as well as a target for criticism from those who believe he has no right to be spouting his theories in the first place. That's a lovely sunset behind Peter there. He certainly looks the part, doesn't he, in all his gear. The thing is, Peter cannot be surprised why people are confused. Because this is how I remember it. Him insisting Nicola was not in this river. She was not there. Not there. And then later on in the year, Bumf just happens to be the day of the College of Policing report coming out. Oh, yes, she was there. I found her within 2 minutes. And I'm going to take my images to the Prime Minister and to America. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And he's done nothing. Anyway, so let's see this video. Now, I hadn't seen this video before. It's very interesting.
My name's Peter.
Now, notice when we're watching it, it's made sure the helicopter's in the background, the farmhouse, everything. In fact, he's just on the edge instead of him being in the forefront of this video. The helicopter is.
My name's Peter Faulding. I'm a forensic search specialist, and I've just flown home from the scene where we've been searching for Nicola Bulley for the last 3 days. We've carried out side-scan sonar searches from the weir, up past the bench where the phone was found, and up the river about another mile to thoroughly search that river. The area was searched on the day by police divers and subsequently a couple of more times, and there is no sign of Nicola. Her phone was found on the bench, plus a dog harness.
To me, that's just another form of bragging, isn't it? With the helicopter there, the big house in the distance. He's just on the edge there. He's like, look at me.
And she appeared to have fallen in the river, but there is no sign of her. The police are continuing scouring the lower levels of the river for Nicola. This is a total mystery where she's gone. She seems to have disappeared into thin air. And this is one of the strangest cases that I've ever worked on.
Okay. Oh, disappeared. Wanted to see it again, really. Yeah, let's watch it again. The strangest case he's ever worked on. So he was insinuating that there's something weird about Nicola's case. He's part of the reason why people think there is something weird. These are the things he said. It's like, it's awful. And he's a professional. I've lost it. It's gone. It's gone. It's the trouble with these articles. They jump about. Thing is, I could have just what's the word? I could just sort of read these articles out, and I could have downloaded the video and played it, but then people wouldn't believe that it was in an article. They'd just think it was me. So I want to show them in the actual article.
My name's Peter Faulding. I'm a forensic search specialist, and I've just flown home from the scene where we've been searching for Nick.
I like to show it in the article so people know it's real.
I'm a forensic search specialist, and I've just flown home from the scene where we've been searching for Nicola Bulley for the last 3 days. We've carried out side scan sonar searches from the weir up past the bench where the phone was found and up the river about another mile to thoroughly search that river. The area was searched on the day by police divers and subsequently a couple of more times, and there is no sign of Nicola. Her phone was found on the bench plus a dog harness, and she appeared to have fallen in the river, but there is no sign of her. The police are continuing scouring the lower levels of the river for Nicola. This is a total mystery where she's gone. She seems to have disappeared into thin air. And this is one of the strangest cases that I've ever worked on.
There you go, one of the strangest cases that he's ever worked on. So among them are the police themselves, with Lancashire's Superintendent Sally Riley taking the unusual step of pointedly stating at a press conference earlier this week that Faulding wasn't included on all the details of the investigation any more than the members of the public. So Sally was trying to distance herself even then from Peter.
I'd like to solve, Pat.
Right, say everything. Don't add anything. Go ahead.
Sole, flounder.
What's that? Oh.
Cod, and catfish.
Sorry. So it is criticism he deflects when we meet at the sprawling Sussex farmhouse, home to which he has just returned by helicopter, which he pilots himself after calling time on 3 days of dawn to nightfall searches of the section of the river by which both Willow and Nicola's phone were found. So yeah, he's just done those 3 days. Why did he only do 3 days? Because I don't know if any of you can remember. I don't remember why he stopped after 3 days. Was it because the police got annoyed with him? Did the family get annoyed with him? Something happened, didn't it? Because 1 minute he was there shaking hands with Paul and the rest of the family, and then the next minute they were refusing to take his calls and what have you. I'm not sure why he only did 3 days. Because that's nothing in a search, is it? Was it just enough to get him on the, get him on the sort of radar of the media and that, get him all these interviews? Was it just enough that he did to make a name, plug his book and all the things he was doing? I've had some criticism, but I can hold my head high. All the high-profile cases I have worked on have been well documented. I'm not a daydreamer. I speak from experience because I've been there. I've done it, he says. I've helped countless families over the years who have lost loved ones in baffling circumstances, and I know that not knowing is the worst thing of all. If I can help with that in any way, then I will. Faulding lives with his Canadian-born second wife, Adele, 51. Now, of course, this was a few years ago. Their 9-year-old daughter, Summer. And he also has 2 grown-up daughters, Natasha, 34, and Danielle, 30, from his first marriage, and a host of alpacas, emus, turkeys, chickens, and dogs who roam freely on his land. It is an idyllic retreat from the grimmer aspects of his work, which on this occasion was undertaken voluntarily at his own expense after he received a direct appeal for help from Nicola's partner, Paul Ansell. Again, we don't know for sure that is true either. Was it Paul that called out to Peter? Was it Martin Brunn who... I've heard so many different versions of how this actually came about. Although it seems that Paul did phone Peter. Well, was that was it because somebody else had suggested it? Just don't know. So look, we've got this photo, very nice photo with the dogs. It's got a German Shepherd, lovely. It's a beautiful photo. Looks good. There's Peter with his black helicopter. Nicola. There he is. Now here it says Faulding. Now I don't think this is true either. Do not think this is true, but if anybody wants to say to me, no, it is true, and prove it, Faulding has located hundreds of bodies on water and on land. Faulding has located hundreds of bodies in water and on land. Has he now? But has he though? Has he really? Hundreds? Really? In many instances where the police have failed. Oh my God, super sonar to the rescue. So no wonder the police don't want to know. I'm sorry, but he's such a downer on the police all the time. He is like this, only him can do it. It's just not right. And as far as I know, I don't know that he has located hundreds of bodies. He located Ellis Downs. But we've looked into that, haven't we? How true was, he was doing false searches according to his ex-employee because the sonar equipment had broken and he was just floating up and down pretending to look. And then they did find Ellis, but it's not as simple. I refer you back to my other video about what was said about that. Anyway, so somebody let me know, has he located hundreds of bodies? Hundreds? Oh, and this was the video that he said was proof that Nicola didn't fall in the water where cops believe. This is what Peter, do you remember? He issued this video to show that it's impossible that Nicola fell in the water here because of how calm it is. And it's true, it is calm. This is Peter who released this video. Peter Faulding. Not me. Nobody else recorded it. Nobody else recorded it and put it out there saying this is why. This is proof that Nicola didn't fall in the water where the cops believe. This was Peter who did this. We have to remember these things.
What we're going to do is re-clearing the area down by the actual. What we're going to do is re-clearing the area down by the actual weir today because we couldn't actually get the boat in to get the sonar over yesterday. So it's quite shallow. So we need to.
Yeah, it's so shallow they couldn't even get the boat in. Did you see the man in black there? Let's just look. Watch for the man in black.
Look at that area, and then we want to sonar the first little stretch of the river.
Oh, let me go back to the beginning.
Who's that? The area down by the actual weir today because we couldn't actually get the boat in to get the sonar over yesterday. So it's quite shallow. So we need to put the team in to look at that area. And then we want to sonar the first little stretch of the river just going down just to confirm nothing's there. And then I'm happy with this area. It's totally clear.
The police in the police press conference, they emphasise that they're pretty convinced that Nicola did fall into the water. You don't necessarily go along with that. Can you say why?
My opinion here is that if Nicola had gone in at that bench and with all my experience of dealing with drowning victims every year, she would have gone to the bottom or drifted maybe a couple of meters and gone to the bottom. The police divers, who are very professional, thoroughly searched this river that day, this stretch of river, all the way down there with a police dive team, and she wasn't there. The current, there's hardly any current here, and in my experience, they don't move very far. Bodies do not move that far for that time, and it's been dive searched twice, and we've searched this stretch of river, and she's clear.
Yeah, and these experts, they keep saying that. To be honest, he's not the only one who said that. is that, you know, bodies don't move far. And yet Nicola's moved a long, long way, didn't it?
Really not in this part.
Is it feasible that the body could have drifted 15 kilometres to Morecambe Bay?
No, not with this not on this tidal river. In my experience, I mean, things tend to get washed in and washed out. But there's so many bends and snag hazards. It's very shallow down there as well. As the tide goes out, it hits the stones. We had a boat grounded the other day. There's nowhere to go.
They had a boat grounded. It's so shallow in parts, but Nicola, you know, she got through it all. Anyway, we know that.
No.
Right. And what is the visibility like when you're with the sonar and underwater? How far can your sonar see?
The sonar is crystal clear. I mean, I can see every rock on the bottom, every stone, stick. It's the best you can buy, and I can sort of give a guarantee that there's nothing in this part from the bench down to the weir, and
right.
Hand on heart there.
Right. And have you spoken to?
Hand on heart, there's nothing from the bridge to the weir. No, how often do we have to listen to this before people realise that Peter is not telling the truth about finding Nicola? It is not true. That is not true. I'm sorry, it isn't. You know, and the more I hear, the more you know that.
Nicola's partner Paul today or last night?
I'm meeting up with Paul later, hopefully,
right.
And catching them. I do speak to them most days, which is really important. They are, you know, they're wondering where Nicola is.
What is this? I presume this is some sonar imagery, but I'm not sure. But anyway, interesting.
Say, for example, I was wearing a Fitbit and I was sitting here for the minutes while
Anyway,
this conversation is going ahead.
There's,
So that Fitbit would show that
yeah, they talk about, I mean, there's a million videos. You know, once you start looking back, there are so many different videos that you can sort of look at now in the view of what happened after and think, oh my God. Anyway, so we're not really here, to be honest, in this video to talk about Nicola Bulley, but I think it's important. You know, this is Peter's history. You know, this is the things that we listened to with bated breath at the time, or I certainly did. Everything Peter said, I believed him. Everything he said, I never queried once. What he said, I just assumed. He was the expert he said he was. He knew, you know, that she definitely wasn't in the river, categorically, etc. So anyway, Faulding reveals he met with Paul, father to Nicola's daughters aged 6 and 9, and her sister Louise Cunningham, before he departed for home on Thursday for what he calls a blunt conversation. What did he say to them? What did he say to them? And is that why they got so annoyed with him? I told him I had to be completely frank with him, and he needed to confront all options, hard though it was. Nicola was a pretty lady. She was a creature of habit, and she could have been targeted and taken. So this is what he's told the family. You know, this guy who's always saying, no, out of respect for the family, I've got respect for the family. He's never shown any respect for the family. And his actions, a lot of his actions, have cast aspersions on that family. Although there's no evidence for this, he later also suggests she could have run off with a lover. She could have run off with a lover. Come on. So all you Peter Faulding fans out there, this is what Peter said, nobody else. She could have walked from the bench to the main road and into a car. It may seem unlikely, but everything about this case seems unlikely. It is important to be upfront about these things, upsetting though it is. The cases I have worked on, you can't rule anything out. That's why I have been brought in. Certainly, over the course of his 28-year career, Faulding has located hundreds of bodies in water and on land. I'd like to have a list of who he has recovered. You know, I really would, because hundreds, really? In many instances where the police have failed, it was Faulding's team. Now, this is the crux of this video that I'm making. It was Faulding's team that in November 2011 successfully found the body of the missing 55-year-old Gloucestershire woman, Kate Prout, who had last been seen alive 4 years earlier. Now, Peter definitely attended at this scene at some point, but I cannot find anything to corroborate the fact that he's claiming that he found the body of Kate. At the time, she was going through an acrimonious divorce from her husband, Adrian, who was subsequently convicted of her murder and later confessed he had buried her body on their farmland. The police could not find it as the ground radar equipment they had was not effective in the kind of fine and sandy soil where she was buried, he recalls. Faulding used a metal detector to successfully find Kate, who was still wearing her wristwatch. This is what I want to know. Is that true? Is it? Many murder victims are buried still wearing jewellery or a watch, he tells me. It was also Faulding, no it wasn't, who in 2007 found a dagger bearing the DNA of 15-year-old schoolgirl Vicki Hamilton in the loft. So this is the video we looked at this in a previous video. In the loft of a property in Scotland owned by serial killer Peter Tobin. Vicki had vanished while waiting for a bus in February 1991. It helped to convict the prolific serial killer and allow the police to close what had been a frustrating cold case. God, good old Peter. If it wasn't for Peter, that dagger wouldn't have been found. But of course, it was a detective who found it, apparently, not him. So come on, where's the truth? Where is the truth? There have been plenty of other interventions too. And then, of course, they bring up the spy in the bag case of Gareth Williams, which really nobody really knows what happened in that case. You know, everybody's got a theory, but I don't think we'll ever know the full truth. Anyway, his extensive investigation has convinced him that, contrary to police assertions, his death could only have been foul play. Maybe it was. So, of course, as he explained in his new book, What Lies Beneath, today, Faulding asserts that alongside that of Williams, Nicola Bulley's case is the most baffling in which he has ever been involved. In 25 years doing search and recovery, I've never had anything like it. He is seen as a global expert in finding things that have disappeared. Here's another, he's an expert in finding things that have disappeared. There's another one to add to his collection. The result of what he calls a bloodhound nose and a natural instinct. Oh dear. That's why he went off digging up. You know, he just wanted to find Nicola's body, didn't he? He was desperate to find it. That's why he went around digging and going off what the police had tasked him with. Raised in a 2-bedroom former council house in Reigate, Surrey, Faulding grew up tunnelling and caving with his father and quickly developed a knack for feeling at ease in confined spaces. I spent my life underground as a kid, he recalls. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It just tickles me. I spent my life underground. Ah, dear. Oh, God. Oh, God. In time, this, along with the radar engineer training he undertook on leaving school, saw him teach confined space rescue to both British teams and the fire services. In 1995, and against the advice of his bank manager, he set up his own search and rescue company, Specialist Group International, and was soon tasked with the first ever tunnel eviction in the UK when he was deployed to remove the environmental protesters at the Newbury bypass in 1996. Well, look at the environment now. The thing is, everyone moans about, everyone says, oh, yeah, climate change and that, but nobody wants to everybody, they don't want people to protest against it. Anyway, a year later, he helped to move notorious anti-roads protester Swampy, real name Daniel Hooper, from tunnels under the proposed route of the A30 at Honiton. He's actually a lovely guy. I got together with him last year after not seeing him for 35 years. We had lunch and a catch-up. So this is that video of the calm river again. So, as the years went by, Faulding, a qualified commercial diver as well as being a helicopter and fixed-wing pilot, expanded his operations to include everything from underwater searches to crime scene analysis. The police have called him in to work on all manner of high-profile cases, amongst them the 2012 disappearance of April Jones and the 1997 disappearance of Alison McGarrigle, 39. I don't know about that case. I need to look at that. Subsequently, so this thing is, Mark Bridger was not found guilty because of anything that Peter Faulding found. He didn't find anything. No, but anyway, this article makes it sound as if something he did directly led to Mark's conviction, and that's not true. So, subsequently, 46-year-old Mark Bridger was jailed for April's murder in 2013, while convicted paedophiles Charles O'Neill and William Lachlan were sent to prison for the murder of Alison in 2010. So they're making it sound that it was something to do with what he found. I don't know about the Alison McGarrigle case. I'm going to have to research that. But, I'm almost scared to research. Is it going to be another false claim? But despite Faulding's meticulous work, the victims' bodies have never been found. It is a reminder that not all cases get complete closure, and Faulding acknowledges that while in some cases he has found bodies years after people have disappeared. Which cases? Which cases? Come on, which cases, Peter, have you found bodies years after people have disappeared? Somebody please let me know those cases so I can look into them. Every passing day makes locating Nicola slightly less likely. Well, she was located, Peter. Actually, you'd already located her, according to you. So the puzzling facts of her disappearance are well rehearsed by now. Nicola was last seen by fellow dog walker at 9:10 while walking Willow, moments after dropping her 2 children off at school. 10 minutes later, her phone and dog's harness were found on a bench, leading to what quickly became known as the 10-minute window during which she must have vanished. But today, though, Faulding believes this is the first of a number of red herrings surrounding Nicola's case. So listen to what he says about this. Now, this is what Peter Faulding said. Come on, we've got to, I'm not saying this. I'm not making it up. He said this in a newspaper article. Everyone talks about the 10-minute window surrounding her disappearance, but the fact is 10 minutes marks the time from when she was last seen until when her phone was found. It doesn't mean that much. It's an open-ended 10 minutes because there are hours of unfilled time from when she was last seen where we don't know what happened. Furthermore, Faulding reveals that during his investigation, he spoke to friends of Nicola's who told him that to their knowledge she rarely walked by the riverbank. One of them showed me the Strava app she uses, which records her walking activity, and it showed that she doesn't walk by the riverbank but in the fields. Why then did the river become such an instant focus? Well, because of the phone in the harness. Faulding believes Nicola's phone focused the investigation there, but it could have been a decoy. So this is why Paul Ansell, in his interview, said he thought it might be a decoy because of what Peter told him. And I have brought this up before because he compared Nicola's case to the case of Laura Thorne, who vanished in 2003 after celebrating passing her driving test. And one of her stilettos was found by a riverbank, which meant everyone directed their search to the river, but her body was found 11 days later buried in a haystack. The stiletto was a decoy. Laura's on and off boyfriend, pub landlord Guy Beckett, was subsequently convicted of her murder. This does not mean that Faulding disagrees with conducting a thorough underwater search of the River Wyre, but he remains puzzled that to his knowledge it has not extended to the surrounding fields where Nicola was last seen, a sentiment he says is shared by Paul and Nicola's sister, Louise Cunningham, with whom he spent considerable amounts of time over the past week. They are clearly distraught. Both Paul and Louise were fighting back tears throughout the time we were together, but they're also frustrated that the searchers focused so resolutely on the river. They've not seen, or certainly they don't know about, the kind of extensive search of the surrounding area you would normally expect with a missing person. Anyway, you know, there's quite a bit more that he goes on to say, but I want to really but having said that, I think it's important. I'll have to carry on reading it because I want to go on to the articles that say that it wasn't him who found Katie Prout. I think the worst mistake the police have made is to declare early on she's in the river rather than saying let's keep lines of enquiries open. This is a lady who knew the area intimately. She was slim and fit, and if she'd fallen in, she could have grabbed onto the bank. And Faulding says many police officers have got in touch privately from across the country to tell him they think he is doing the right thing. And you've got the map of where Nicola was last seen, etc. He shows me a picture on his mobile phone of how shallow the water is at the spot where Nicola's mobile was left and where the police believe she may have entered the river. It's even more shallow now, but on the day it would have been around 2 feet deep. If she slipped, she would have gone in and hit rock very quickly and been up to her thigh, that's all. This is not drowning territory, according to Peter. He also disagrees with the suggestion she may have hit her head on a rock and lost consciousness, and that her body could have been washed round the river bend to a nearby weir. I threw a big stick in the water and watched it for 20 minutes and it didn't move, which makes it unlikely that a body would move either. It would have to be floodwater to move a body from there. People are making assumptions without the local knowledge. Today, so do you remember this? The two boats that started searching Morecambe Bay, because there was a possibility that she'd been washed up that far. In 1978, the body of a teenager who drowned in the River Wyre nearby where Nicola disappeared, washed up 2 months later on a sandbank. Now, that was the boy who fell off his motorbike, wasn't it, and fell into the river. So that was the last time anyone drowned in the River Wyre. I think this is important 1978, the only other people that have ever drowned in that river was this boy who fell off his motorbike into the river. And then there was a toddler who drowned in the river. That's it. It's not a place where people go to unalive themselves. It's not a place where people often die by accident, which are all things that make it strange. Faulding still maintains he believes it near impossible that this is what happened to Nicola. Even in the unlikely event her body made it over the weir, there are too many shallow areas. It would get jammed and people would see her. What about the theory that Nicola disappeared voluntarily? This does not ring true to Faulding either. From all the chats with the family, it's clear she had everything to live for. Her passport was at home, and Paul confirmed that no personal possessions of hers had left the house. Either way, Faulding departed on Thursday, unable to bring closure, although he insists he will return. We did everything we came to do, and unfortunately that did not result in finding Nicola. I told Paul I would be back, but in the meantime, in some ways, I'm glad we didn't find the body, as it means there is still hope. Oh, Peter's fee for this interview has been donated to the Lucas Dobson Water Safety campaign, which gives life jackets to schools. So that's good. Well, that's what they say anyway. We don't know if it's true or not, of course. So this is the point I'm trying to make in this video. In this article, he clearly states that he found Kate Prout's body. He found it. He found it with a metal detector. Yeah, let's just remember what he said. The police could not find it. The ground radar equipment they had wasn't effective in the kind of fine and sandy soil where she was buried. He used a metal detector to successfully find Kate, who was still wearing her wristwatch. Now, I've looked at many, many articles trying to find out who found Kate Prout. But in every one it says the police found her remains. Police confirmed human remains were those of Miss Prout. SGI and Peter are not mentioned in this discovery of Kate's body. So all I want to know is, where's the truth? So apparently Adrian had shown officers an area of 300 square yards, but was unable to give the exact location. So it took them 4 days to find him. Says police use specialist forensic experts, cadaver dogs, trained to locate decomposed bodies. But nowhere in any of these articles is it mentioned about Peter finding her. Or Peter's company. So come on, I just want to know the truth. If Peter did find her, if people can show me an article or something that proves that he did find her. So this was an article in The Independent. Police confirmed they found Katie's body. Now, this one in the Forester, which I presume is just a local newspaper, this is the only one where they even mention SGI. It just says, Gloucestershire Police made use of the best expertise in the country to try and find Kate's body. Officers were joined by a team from Specialist Group International, who are leading experts in forensic search and recovery, and 2 body search dogs from South Yorkshire. Ground penetrating radar was used, mechanical diggers, teams of forensic archaeologists. Now, I'm not saying that Peter wasn't there or his team was there when her remains were discovered. Maybe they were. But he said specifically he found her with the metal detector. Is that true? And then, so that was the Independent. Let's put some windows down. The Independent, that Forrester magazine thing, newspaper thing. We've looked at that. What else? Right, so going to the BBC, human remains have been discovered by officers searching for Kate Prout. So, again, no mention of SGI finding her, and no mention of her being found by a metal detector because she was still wearing a watch. What's the truth? I just want the truth, that's all. And again, it talks about them using diggers, forensic archaeologists, cadaver dogs, but no mention of SGI in this one. Now, I'm not saying SGI didn't find her. I'm saying Peter says that, but why does it not say that anywhere else? And there was one more thing I wanted to look at. Let me remember. Oh, yeah. Now, I can't... a contact that I've got who I think... Look, I don't know. This is really an anonymous person, but... let's just see. From what they're saying... there's nothing from what they're saying, and if I hear any different, I will let you know. In those circles, no. There was no mention of SGI for quite a long time. So anyway, I don't know. I can't go into that, to be honest, because that would, spotlight somebody who doesn't want to be spotlighted. So this is my question. The whole point of this video, is this another lie or another untruth? Allegedly, who found Kate Prout's remains? Maybe it was SGI. Maybe it was Peter with a metal detector. I just have these visions of him there with his metal detector. All the police experts there and everything, and Peter goes with his metal detector and, oh, look, I found Kate. Maybe that is what happened. And has Peter really found hundreds of bodies? Has he? Who has he found? Hundreds apparently. And the thing is, I just don't like, I don't like being gaslit. I don't like people being gaslit. If these things are not true, and then looking at that video that he made at the time when he'd just come back from the Nicola Bulley search and saying, she's definitely not there, there's something strange about this case. And then months later, after the inquest, he suddenly comes out with all this tosh about having found Nicola and produces some sonar image that looks nothing like a body. But even if it did, how do we even know that was from then? It's just, I don't like that. It's treating the public like idiots, basically. That they're not, can't think for themselves. A lot of people just accepted what Peter said. When that happened with Peter, when he came out with that rubbish, it created a big division, didn't it? Maybe it was deliberate for that, because before then, I think we'd all been united, haven't we, in the wanting to know what had really happened to Nicola. We all had this shared outrage, or a lot of us did, that there's something more to this, that, the truth hasn't come out. And then he came out with that, and then there was sort of this two camps, of people who believed Peter and people who didn't believe him. And then, of course, that was a year ago, over a year ago now. And since then, Peter did none of the things that he said he was going to do after Christmas, after he'd had his good Christmas and that. But then in the new year, He was, people waited patiently. There's some people, so bless them, so determined to believe Peter. It was like, oh, well, it's only January. Oh, well, it's only February. Oh, well, it's only March. Still, he said in the new year, I mean, technically it's still the new year. We've still got, a little while, but, might suddenly go to these American experts or take his case to the to the Prime Minister or whatever he was going to do. Maybe he'll still do that. He's still got time, Peter. It's still next year, just a year into it, that's all. But, so these are the reasons. I've got nothing against Peter. I'm sure he's done a lot of good things in his life, but I don't like people telling lies just to save their own ego. I knew that immediately when that ridiculous interview came out. It was definitely all about Peter. Didn't want Nicola's case to be reopened. Didn't want anything to be, it wasn't about that. It was just about him and his company and his reputation that he has ruined for himself, to be honest. He's ruined it for himself, in my opinion. But, but I might be wrong. So far we've got the supposed finding of Nicola's body, which clearly isn't a body in my opinion. We've then got, did he find Peter Tobin's knife that he claims he did, or did the detective find it as he claims he did? And now we've got, did Peter find Katie Prout's remains? Or did the police find them? Is Peter bigging himself up there? Or is it true? Was it him who found them? Or was he just involved in the search, but it wasn't specifically him that found them? And of course, there's a lot more high profile cases that need some looking into. And I'm not going to look into them at the moment. I'm going to leave this now because, I find the whole thing so depressing. And, it also led then into other things about Mark Williams Thomas. When you go into his background, that's even worse. And people seem a lot readier to accept that Mark Williams Thomas is not really a principled person, but people are reluctant to accept it about Peter. And maybe he is a principled person, and maybe he's just a bit of a Walter Mitty, just likes to big himself up. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't, I literally don't know, but I don't understand it. I do think it's wrong to say when you're a high profile person, I do think it's wrong to say something that is not necessarily 100% true. I think that's 100% wrong. So that's what I think. For what it's worth, some people will hate me for it. Other people say to me, oh, good, keep on probing. But, it's not much fun doing it. It's depressing. And it's because I thought he was a principled person as well. I've never really thought about Mark Williams Thomas, maybe years ago. But ever since the Oscar Pistorius is innocent claim of him, then I haven't had any respect for him since then. And then the more I look into him, he's another one. It's like a Pandora's box. You start looking into it and it's really quite worrying. Anyway, okay. So I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, don't forget your nominations for Twonk of the Year. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Please like this video and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.